Hey guys, how's it going? I'm back with another 10 metal bands you haven't heard but should. There's also the next episode. I'm just waiting for some stuff to arrive, so I'm not too sure how long that's going to be. But I'm also going to be starting another series soon, which I'm not sure when I'm going to do it yet, but it's going to be something a bit different. And hopefully that one goes down as well as this one. Today we've got nice mix of stuff, probably more dominantly death metal stuff, just because that seems to be what's coming out most at the minute. That's often the case. There's usually a lot more cool death metal albums, and then there'll be a few black metal albums that really stand out to me, and there is some of that in here anyway. So without further ado, for the first band from the great roster of Maggot Stomp is Mortal Wound. Just trying to think that I have them or Malignant Altar last time, but yes, Mortal Wound. It's their demo, Forms of Unreasoning Fear. Now, if you're not familiar with Mortal Wound, sorry, I'm tripping over my words, lack of communication, nothing new really. This is some really fierce, grindy, but definitely not grindcore, but just abrasive death metal, Maggot Stomp records. If you're into that kind of stuff like Ulcer Rot and Pissgrave and stuff, then Mortal Wound should grab your attention. They've got plenty of, those kind of stompy, just heavy mortician kind of riffs. Really dark kind of feel to the production as well. It's really nasty, just grim death metal. So if that sounds like your bag, check out Mortal Wound. Next up, the complete opposite end of the spectrum in every conceivable way is Nocturnal Prayer. This is the first demo, Grim Sermons of the Nocturnal Prayer, handmade tape from Extinctionist Records. Their first tape and second tape have recently been compiled onto a LP by Inferno Profundus Records, but this is the original demo tape. It's really raw, haunting, cold black metal, sort of. If you like stuff like Putrefaction, Black Silas and Glemt, actually, who I recently did a split with, the Sickly Anglen and Glemt split, so I'm just going to plug that casually from Legions of Darkness Records. But yeah, if you like that kind of really cold, fierce and just unsettling kind of raw black metal, check out Nocturnal Prayer, because in my opinion they're one of the finest projects in that kind of field. And now going in a completely different direction, which I think is going to be the theme of this video, is inconsistency, other than the fact that it's all good underground extreme metal. Yoth Iria, which is the new project, that's a really difficult word to remember, featuring members who were featured in the Greek black metal scene, like Rotting Christ and Necromantia. This is on a Cult Never Dies. There's, I think, 2 CD versions. I believe there's a tape version, and there's definitely a vinyl version on their own label. But yeah, this is the Cult Never Dies version. Repulsive Echo, couldn't think of the name of the label. It's definitely got that real Greek feeling, the kind of haunting, very kind of ritualistic atmospherics, but also has a lot of riffs, especially on the second song, Side Jin, or Dien. Probably butchered that, sorry, but very kind of Rain Chaos era dissection-esque melodies, just those kinds of really haunting, memorable guitarists, but it's definitely done in the Greek way. It feels notably Greek. So if you like Greek black metal, which I'm pretty sure everyone does, then check out Yoth Iria, because it's a really cool EP, really stunning musicianship and great production value on that too. Next up, some more really nasty stuff. We have the EP from Void Ceremony, which is put out by Blood Harvest Records. They actually have a new album, full length, coming out on 20 bucks spin. I want to say the end of this month or the start of next month. Either way, it's really good. I've reviewed it. And until it comes the time to buy that record, this EP will have to do, and it's a really cool EP. So what you get with Void Ceremony is actually quite like another band you'll see later in this video. There's sort of blackened, doomy death metal. It's really creepy, otherworldly. It's quite raw and in your face. It's quite hard to describe. It kind of looks like how it sounds. It's just really reverberant and deep sounding, and I think otherworldly is probably the best way. Maybe not so much in the vein of like Blood Incantation, but more bands like Lantern from Finland, that kind of stuff. Just really good death metal, black metal, doom metal. You get a bit of everything in here. So 4-track, 7-inch. So good stuff. Definitely worth checking it out. Now for some more kind of black metal infused death metal, we have Snorlax, who I didn't know if the name came from a Pokemon or if it's something else, maybe in like Japanese or something. I'm still not entirely sure. But this is a one-man project, and this is on a Malevs or Malaeus. I'm not sure if it's Malaeus using a V for a U or Malevs as in, you know, malevolence or something. But that records, this is the tape, of course. The second release just called 2, although the previous release wasn't a full length. It's just kind of that big cavernous death metal with some blackened touches. It's got some creepy dissonant riffs. It's got tons of atmosphere. It's just kind of dripping in this dark, evil, fetid kind of sound, much like bands like Fetid and Cerebral Rot and that. No, but anywho, Snorlax is just some great underground death metal. If you like that kind of cavernous, big, creepy death metal, then it's definitely going to be for you. Now, some more kind of to the point death metal. We have Leak, which is corpse in Swedish, and their album Carnage, which is the latest one on Metal Blade Records. Now, I guess Metal Blade is a bigger label, but I wouldn't consider these a band that everyone knows, like, say, Entombed or Dismember or Carnage, that kind of sweet death. So I like Leak. They have really good lyrics. Like, there's this one lyric, limb after limb as the slaughter begins. That's the kind of stuff you kind of, when you first get into death metal, you read in like an autopsy insert and are like, holy shit, that's grim. Yeah, it's really groovy. It's not overly reliant on the HM2, which, don't get me wrong, I love that sound. It's probably my favourite death metal sound, along with like Finnish death doom. But the riffs are there to kind of, it's not just chug, hey look, we have a cool pedal. It's really got that same kind of visceral energy that you'd get in those classic bands, again, like Grave, Nihilist, you know the stuff I mean. But yeah, check out Leak if you like sweet death, and sweet death with big riffs, because you get that here. Now, I mentioned when I was talking about Void Ceremony, another band that had that kind of blackened, doomy, death, otherworldly feel, and I'm talking about Cosmic Putrefaction, who also, funnily enough, have a new album coming out on I Void Hanger and Caligari for the tape. This is, of course, the tape, which, for the first album on Caligari, At the Threshold of the Greatest Chasm. Their new album is phenomenal. Once again, if you want to read my review of that, you can at natskog.wordpress.com. That should be in the description as per usual. But, and again, until that comes out, I figured, well, best to have something. So I grabbed this, got a good deal on it from a UK or EU distro. Really gritty, spacey, kind of got a big Lovecraft feel, like maybe Sulphur Aeon, but in a much more caustic kind of way. It's really dark and grimy, and it's creepy, and I like creepy death metal. It's quite short, much like their new album. It's, I think, about half an hour. The track list, I believe, is the same on both sides. You know, the whole album fits onto one side of a tape. Some irrelevant information there, but, you know, this kind of stuff you expect, like kind of an hour-long album like Abyssal or whatever, but somehow they keep it concise, or he, as I believe it's a solo project, and delivers so much atmosphere, so much weirdness, innovative riffs. It's really good stuff. So yeah, if you like your weird shit, check out Void Ceremony and Cosmic Putrefaction. Now something that's just straight up enjoyable, not necessarily complex, not necessarily nothing we've never heard, but it's Witch's Hammer. This is their new album on Nuclear War Now, called Damnation Is My Salvation. Great name, love it. Called Red Tape Shell, but black tape, for those who particularly mind. Now, this is quite an old band that sort of reformed to put out this album, as the cover might indicate. It is kind of speed metal. But that being said, it's not, you know, necessarily like Exciter or Razor or early Annihilator. It's definitely got those kind of speedy riffs, but I'd say more in the vein of like early Creator, Sodom, Destruction, with some maybe Bestial, Warlust and Beharet thrown in for good measure. So it's fucking fast, it's evil, it's morbid, it's grim, and it's so damn enjoyable. It's the kind of album you just listen to over and over again, and it just makes you want to like put your face through a solid brick wall, and that's a good sign for speed metal. definitely check out Witch's Hammer on Nuclear War now if you like fast, barbaric, extreme metal. Now, the literal opposite of that is Convocation. This is their first album, Dead Something. No, it's Scars Across. I wanted to say Dead Veins, but here we go. It's a long day. This is on Everlasting Spew Records. Now, Convocation, once again, as with quite a few of the bands in these videos, they have a new album, which I've reviewed, which is awesome, and definitely go check that out when it's out. But their first album, I think it is possibly some of the most haunting, upsetting in a way, just really emotional death doom, along with a couple other bands like Hooded Menace's last album. This is one of those albums that doesn't really feel like a new album. It feels like you've known it for a long time, and that's kind of special, I guess, when there's so many good underground acts churning out material constantly. I can't think of a week in the last few years where there's not been at least one or two good releases. But this is one of those ones you sort of listen to and it affects how you feel for the rest of the day. But without getting too soppy, it's still, you know, got savage riffs, really kind of convulsive groove to it. It's really tight. The production's huge. Definitely, if you love death or doom metal, let alone the two combined, this is about as good as it gets when mixing those two genres, along with, like I say, bands like Hooded Menace and kind of a lot of the Finnish stuff. Finnish is good for death doom. And now finally we have something that Cavernous Records kindly sent me, which rounds out the kind of death doom thing. This is Dwaellicht, as I would personally assume it's pronounced. They're from Belgium. They play kind of funeral doom and death doom. It's definitely got that kind of ghastly death metal feel, but that kind of, you know what funeral doom is. It's doom metal that sounds funerally. It's really eerie kind of material. If you like that kind of stuff, I'm actually going to be publishing a review of this when I have, probably today actually. I'll get a chance to sit down and listen to it properly, because it only came this morning, and, you know, really get my thoughts out about it. So as much a metal band I need to properly check out as much as you guys, so we can do this together. Let's check out Dwaellicht. If you like you know, funeral doom, death doom, once again, Cavernous Records, really cool underground label here in the UK. So if any of you are watching in the UK and think, you know, we don't have as many cool underground labels, it's not necessarily true, because labels like Cavernous, Meisako and Ojo, Blackwood, my own AHPN Records, not that it's on the same level, but, you know, there's tons of cool stuff here, as well as, you know, the 20 Buck Spin and Van and Amel Fati and all these great international labels. And if you're not from the UK and you're thinking about checking out some bands from the UK underground, Cavernous has a great roster. So let's listen to Funeral Doom. Let's do this one together, because I still need to properly listen to these guys, and I'm looking forward to reviewing this. So that was another 10 metal bands you haven't heard but should. I've got maybe 6 or 7 out of 10 things ordered for the next stuff, but of course with the COVID outbreak and everything else going on in the world, you know, things are going to be slowed down, and of course you've just got to be patient. I've just got to be patient. As much as it's fun getting records quickly, there's bigger things at hand at the minute which need to be fixed, and hopefully you guys are keeping well, and, you know, stay metal. That's the one. Words are really not on my side today. Hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, stay metal.